Hey Real Writers, Chris here. Welcome to your Journal with Me session on Sunday. I am doing a super abbreviated session today because I am at my parents' dealing with some family stuff, and so I don't have my cards with me, but what I do have is, because I can't bring all my cards with me, what I do have is this great Kickstarter campaign I backed for Project Obvious State was doing, and they do these literary imprints of famous quotes and bits of people's bits of novels from all different time periods, and they fashion them into artwork, as you can see here. And they do tote bags and mugs and all kinds of great stuff. So Obvious State, I'll put a link in the description box. So the project was called She, and it's a visual ode to visionary women, and it's 100 literary art postcards. This is a great project. I loved it. I have 2 sets of postcards, so I would like to sometimes use these postcards for this video. And then if you are the first person to comment and tell me a little bit of what came out for you in this session, I will send you the postcard. I have 2 sets, like I said, so I'm happy to share them. So again, if you are the first person to comment for this video, I will contact you. I will be messaging you on YouTube, so you have to have that enabled, or I will just reply to your comment and hopefully you will see it and get your address, and I will send you the postcard so you have it to inspire you. Let's turn it around and see what it is. It is, I will write my story for my better self, Elizabeth Barrett Browning. I'm trying to see. Yeah, so you can see those are words. Those are words as the sort of thread or ribbon that's going into the typewriter. So unfortunately, because of what's happening here today at my parents' house, I don't have time to journal with you. So it's more like journal with you, or journaling for one today. I hope you'll forgive me for that. We have 4 months of these videos to this point that you could go back to if you'd like to actually journal together. But I did want to give you a video this weekend so that you could write. And what I would suggest is, you could go several different ways for this card. I will write my story for my better self. So you might stop and take stock and see what your story is so far. And whenever people give that as an exercise, I always get exhausted. I feel exhausted because I can't write a story of my life. I mean, you could write it in bullet points and skip details and just do big chunks of time period, childhood, teenagerhood, or young adulthood, high school, college, or first job, or first love, or whatever. The sports years, if you did soccer, travel soccer for many years, or was on a softball team, or a basketball team, or a gymnastics team, and that was a big part of your life. Or maybe you did a lot of plays and a lot of theater, and even did community theater and summer stock and all these other things, and that could be considered a chunk of your life. And however you want to categorize and identify these parts of your life, you could do that, and then look at it and maybe write and people have given this exercise before, so I'm not making this up out of nowhere. Write a sort of chapter title for that, and then maybe pick one of those chapter titles, or pick all of those chapter titles. And if someone handed that to you and you didn't know yourself, what story would you write about this person? Don't think of what you know, think of only those chapter titles and what that would tell you about that person. So you could do that. You could also write a letter to your better self. There's that, write a letter to your future self, which It's fun the first time. And then, you know, you do it once and then it's kind of like, okay, I did it. So, you can do that too if you want, if that's something that excites you and you haven't done it yet. You can put it away and put a calendar reminder for 5 years from now to open it. Just hopefully you remember where you put it. Make sure you tell yourself where you put it in the calendar item. And in this case, it could be to your better self. Who would you like to be? Ask them for advice, maybe dialogue with them. Maybe they write back to you and tell you all the wonderful things about yourself that you don't allow yourself to accept or believe, because we're also hung up on judging ourselves every single second of the day. And it's really exhausting and we don't deserve it. So maybe you've gotten better at that than I have. I don't know. I'm going through a period where I feel like I'm doing that a lot, and it's better to appreciate you for who you are and that you're trying your best. You might want to do that instead. Write a story, or write a letter to your better self, or have your better self write a letter to you, or write the story of your better self. If you were better, whatever that means to you, what would your life look like? What would your story be? So there are a lot of different things you can do here with this wonderful quote from Elizabeth Barrett Browning. And I'm trying to, let me take my glasses off and see if I can see what this lettering is on this card. It's so tiny. I can't really see it. The only sentence I can read right now, because it's so tiny, is that souls were dangerous things to carry straight through all the all the spilt salt of the world. That souls were dangerous things to carry straight through all the spilt saltpeter, of the world. Well, that's an enigmatic. This is from Aurora. Okay, this is from her novel in verse, Aurora, which I have read a really long time ago. So I can't tell you anything about it because I can't remember very much. And I was very proud of myself for reading it. If I can get something out of this with a magnifying glass, I will put some of it in the description box. In case that sentence helps you, maybe that will help. I'll try to find this text and paste it into the description box in case that is also inspiring. It's so tiny. If I'd bought the poster, because you can also buy posters, I forgot to mention, then I would be able to read it to you more easily. But it's really, really, really tiny. And my eyesight has changed from nearsighted to farsighted at obviously a very inopportune time, because I would have been able to read this card earlier. Okay, so I'm going to leave you to your journaling. Obviously, journal as much as you like. And remember that if you are interested in receiving this postcard, please comment in below and, just let me know what came up for you. Maybe share a few sentences and which type of exercise you did, and maybe a sentence or two if you'd like. Anyway, thank you for understanding that this has to be a shorter session. I will be back next week with hopefully a regular session. I just didn't want to not post anything. So I hope you all have a lovely rest of your Sunday and a great week, and happy writing.